appreciate you. And the Deputy Chairman, House of Representatives Committee and Public Accounts is also here with us, Honorable Jerry Umaru, ACA. We welcome you. Thank you so very much.
Good afternoon, everybody. Please kindly permit me to start architecture, the challenges, the contradictions, and the imperative for sustainable development. When I received the invitation from the chairman, I was excited and at the same time troubled somehow that how will I navigate this paper? Should it be a technical paper or should it be a long thesis, an essay that is going to look into the problems, the challenges of fiscal architecture in Nigeria? But after going through the entire week-long program, I quickly realized that discussing a PowerPoint presentation for this important topic will be out of it. And you are going to permit me to spend about 20-25 minutes to x-ray the issues. To start with, when we talk about fiscal architecture, the fiscal architecture of any country, including Nigeria, is more or less like the building blocks governing the fiscal transparency and accountability of that country. And the purpose of having a very sound fiscal architecture.
So, Prof, sorry, I've reviewed the chairman. I think try and make it 10. Because you have 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay.
Okay. So be faster.
So the outcome of a very sound fiscal architecture is fiscal discipline. As a country, the starting point is, when we talk about fiscal discipline, it's a continuum. The policies, the laws, the institutions, and our processes and procedures. And this particular paper is going to delve into these 4. When we talk about the policy framework governing fiscal architecture in Nigeria, there are fiscal policies, and I'm not going to talk about this specifically because a lot has been done by the Presidential Committee on Tax Reform, and the outcome has been the promulgation of the tax reform law. Under the policy frameworks are public debt policies as well as public expenditure policies. If we look at the fiscal policy framework, it mentions tax policies, debt policies, as well as public expenditure. But I doubt it, because I've done a lot of literature review. I don't think we have any policy document. Fiscal architecture is the Public Accounts Committee of both the Senate as well as the House of Representatives. We have the Joint Finance Committee of the House of Representatives as well as the other standing committees of the House that are responsible for all of this. Then in terms of processes, we have budgeting processes in Nigeria, appropriation processes, and procurement processes, payment processes, and recording and accounting processes. So these are the framework or the architecture that we have in Nigeria. In the entire length of the paper, the functions of all the organs, both at the executive level as well as the National Planning Commission to the Fiscal Responsibility Commission, Public Procurement, are detailed in the paper. But let's quickly go to the challenges with all these the structures and the institutions that we have on ground. The first thing we identify with the National Planning Commission, that is supposed to be the organ to develop long-range plan for the country. There are 2 pieces of legislation promulgated in 2007. which are the Fiscal Responsibility Commission Act and the Public Procurement Act. These change as at the time the implementation is being done. So the consequences is that there is no direct linkage between the National Development Plan, the MTEF, that is the Commission, as well as the annual appropriation that is supposed to be the basis of the fiscal discipline in Nigeria. So that is number one. Number two is, in terms of the challenges, there are funding constraints. Budget resources are perpetually limited. And there is the need for trade-off discipline. They use a lot of discretion for the purpose of resource allocation. And like I said, there is no thing of this Fiscal Responsibility Act. There are a number of the documentations that are supposed to accompany the budget. Unfortunately, when the budget is being prepared, some of these documentations don't usually accompany them. There are inefficient procurement practices, inefficient inspection by the Office of the Accountant General, weak monitoring by the Responsibility Commission, delay monitoring of the Budget Office are some of the challenges that confront our fiscal arrangement in Nigeria. In terms of contradictions, there are a number of contradictions, and one of them is what I've raised. There is no direct linkage between the National Development Plan, the MTEF, and the annual appropriation. Is a very big challenge. Is the restriction on the price negotiation with the lowest bidder as contained in the Public Procurement Act. And lastly, internal audit independence.
2 more minutes.
Internal audit
independence. I'll give you about 5 minutes more.
Okay. Internal audit independence. When we talk about internal audit independence, he is also directly responsible for deploying the head of internal audit in each of these MDAs, who probably are lower in cadre or hierarchy to the DFAs. So when you create that kind of institution that the internal auditor is finance and the director of accounting and finance in the MDAs, there is a come out of all of this. We made some recommendations. We need to reform our budgeting system because that is the bane of our problem. We need to reform our budgeting system. And the annual appropriations. And we are proposing that there should be an MTF coordinating council established that is going to coordinate the affairs of appropriation. Then, we also propose that there should be budget preparation committee at each of the MDA's level. And this budget preparation committee will work directly with MTF coordinating council that we propose that will ensure that the review of MTF from time to link with the budget is guaranteed. So another fundamental issue that we have identified is that in Nigeria we don't have budget calendars. If we look at the relevant section of the Constitution, I think section 81, estimate of revenue and expenditure for the incoming year, the time at which that is going to be done was not specified in the Constitution. That is number one. Number two is that there is no timetable, that there are instances where budget approval is extended to June, to May of several. So we need to look into that. So there is the need for us to also establish what we call the National Budget Office. If a budget is presented to the National Assembly, it's a rigorous exercise that requires technical people to look into it. And the National Assembly Budget Office, so the recommendation on the incomplete documentation too are contained in an agency that will be reporting to either the Minister of Finance with dotted line reporting to the Presidency. So in conclusion, So, in conclusion, it is important that all of the records contained in the full paper are taken into account. Thank you very much for your rapt attention.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I know how difficult it is for a professional paper to be compressed, but I think you did a good job and highlighted all the major issues. So what I will do now is to get straight to, before then, let me announce, earlier in the day, we received the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, represented by the Minister of State, and the president has left. But another president has come, a smaller president, my president, the president of the Nigerian Bar Association. The only president, there's a leader here, there's a chairman, but there's only one president, the president of the Nigerian Bar Association. By the way, there's no other association that has